Okay, here we go. The watch list for February 23rd, which is Thursday already because we had a holiday on Monday, so this week's flying by. Quiet day on the SPY, very narrow range inside of yesterday's range, but you know what? Still pretty darn strong market. Here's the list I've compiled. It's fairly small compared to most of my lists, but this is what I'll be watching, and I just couldn't find much, and I don't know. I kind of think maybe it's just lower volume around the holidays. Usually I can find more than I found tonight, but we'll see. CBMX isn't that interesting. I mean, if you picture a line from here to here and it's kind of creeping up and maybe near breakout territory, but that is not enough to land on my list. I noticed it in after hours and is trading it. It looks like it closed after hours at 490, so all the way up here. Very small float on this thing. I think this was on earnings, but I'm not. Don't hold me to that. So this is a possible gap and go tomorrow with the low float, and we'll see how it acts after the opening bell, but definitely deserves to be on watch. Lumber Liquidators LL had a decent range today, closing slightly above the open, but if it can get over today's high, which was 1835, so over 1835, this one might just, revisit and maybe take out the highs of the gap up day, which was yesterday. So I like this kind of long over 1835. Keep in mind, that's not a blanket statement. It could open at 17 tomorrow. So if it does that and then runs to 1835, I could give a rat's butt about 1835, right? Because it will have already run too far. So, my statements are predicated on assuming a fairly flat open. All right, keep stuff like that in mind. And I also don't want to fight the overall market. So if the market's tanking, there's a whole host of decisions, a whole host of factors, I should say, that go into every trading decision I make. So keep that in mind. But that one has potential. MBOT, huge volume today, almost 20 million shares. Now, it ended up giving back a lot of its gains. I'll show you where I called this in chat today. Called it long right over this candle here at 731. Worst case stop, 701, and you can see what happened. We got a really nice move. I actually traded that terribly. I think I made 1,100 on it, and certainly should have made a lot more than that. But it was a really nice play, and because it was such a nice trade, and it still did manage to close above its open, but I don't like the fact that it almost round tripped on an intraday basis. But keep in mind, it's still way higher than where it closed yesterday. So if you account for that, it's still holding up pretty well. Anyway, it goes on watch tomorrow, and with that kind of volume today, it'll be on watch for the next several days. And that is MBOT. CUR. Huge move back here, nice secondary pop here, and then an inside day. Then you've got a couple lower highs. I don't really like the fact that this kind of has these topping tails because it's showing me the sellers are coming in up here. But it did close above its open. If this can maybe push back up through 4, you've got a couple nice catalysts just above. So again, just like I said before on that other stock, depending on how it opens, whether or not I'll even trade it at all. Okay, but it definitely is going to land itself on a chart tomorrow. TOPS was on bounce watch today after the gap up and a couple red days, and it just gave another red day. It's almost round trip, which makes me like it a lot less, but you could also argue that it's gotten down to where it's got pretty nice support, right? 2 or 3 weeks worth of trading before it had good earnings, or at least it was perceived as good earnings because it gapped up so big. So this one is time. If I shorted this anywhere in here, or anywhere in here, or anywhere in here, I mean, I'm going to be pretty happy with my profits. And, now it's down to support. So tomorrow might be the Bulls day instead of the Bears day on TOPS. It goes on watch. ZSAN, huge mover after the gap up, sold off, then an inside day, and then just ripped. Now you've got 3 days lower on declining volume. I'd prefer it still to come a little farther, but as strong as this rip was, it might be ready to turn back up tomorrow, so it goes on watch. ZAIS was on watch today, and it's down to the 20-day. And again, you kind of have a round trip, which makes me like it a lot less. But I'm going to put it on bounce watch nonetheless. And then lastly, I have PSIX, which had this huge move here. Lower high, lower high, lower high, declining volume at the at the 8-day. I think this might be worth watching for a bounce tomorrow. So that's my entire list. We'll add some gappers in the morning too. Hopefully we can catch another MBOT like we did today. And if not, maybe one of these will play out as well. So we'll be watching all of these. Enjoy the rest of your night. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.